And for the final time here on the B stream of the CORSAIR DreamHack Masters Dallas, we are jumping in to a map. This time it's Train. It's the all-important deciding matchup between Renegades and G2. One team goes home, one team goes through to the playoff quarterfinals. Which one will it be?
And one UK man goes to bed at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Well, if we get overtimes, maybe later than that.
You probably won't go straight to bed anyway either, because you're
Definitely
a mess.
won't.
So you'll definitely.
I'm a degenerate that'll sleep and
probably
like won't go to sleep.
in the morning. That's when he probably actually goes to bed at this point.
More like 12.
Yeah.
Nearly.
It's absolutely
nearly there.
reasonable. Nearly there. But no, so we're going on to Train for Map 3 here between Renegades and G2. Again, of course, winner goes on the playoffs. Loser is, I guess, maybe going to go hit up the downtown Dallas scene before heading back home. Maybe get some barbecue. No more CS. That's the point. And with it being Train, this is a map that Renegades have historically been pretty damn strong on in the offline environment. So they're going to feel pretty happy about this becoming a Map 3. With G2, historically, not so much. And even with this lineup, the results have been kind of mixed. So not really sure what to expect from them, to be quite honest.
Well, we're about to find out, Dust, as we are live now on Train. Knife Rounders came and gone. Renegade CT, G2 Terrorist. Kicked and smoked for the CTs. Couple smokes and couple flashes. Fairly standard stuff. Nothing really catching the eye.
We'll mention that obviously these two teams played Train in the best of one in the upper bracket, and it was an overtime victory for G2. So there is obviously immediate history there between these two teams on this map. That'll certainly be part of the mind games that ensue, I imagine, going forward. Also, Renegades did take a pretty fat L from Fnatic on Train earlier.
At this point, it basically becomes a best of one. The team's mentally drained, playing for their future in the tournament. CORSAIR placed in perfect position. Azza with two, switches round for a third. This man really does come alive in big moments. JKS onto Shocks, and it all remains for Amanek. He's back on B site, actually, not even close to the bomb. Maybe
look at where
gets
the bomb's
the
down at, Vince. It's on top of a pallet over at L. How has it landed there?
Yeah, the bomb mechanics often in this game are quite head scratching, but
you couldn't get the bomb to land there again if you tried, I feel like.
Amanek though, P250 by his side, 20 seconds to make something special happen. Gratisfaction gonna silence him. Renegades will draw first blood in this deciding map.
It's a brilliant play from Azza, really. That tricky angle catches multiple frags, pretty much ends it himself. So 1-0, Renegades will go up. G2 going to be looking to do a little bit of buying. Worth noting in that game that they played against each other in the upper bracket, both teams had big CT sides, I think of 10 rounds in regulation. G2 actually almost won that game regulation because they had such a big first half on their CT side, but then Renegades used theirs to come right back into the game and force extra rounds. So maybe be on the lookout to see how effective their teams are on the T side, since that is where they struggled in their previous matchup.
Well placed. Smoke at the perfect moment. It's going to keep G2 at bay. Just pistols and a Mac 10. Looking to potentially pop flash down onto the ramp with one of his teammates. The early dick goes the way of JKS, who's going to finish off with two. KennyS waiting, anticipating the rotation, but he's whiffed everything and will go down. Had to switch to his knife, assuming that Jakin would force his way in and back the kill. UMP's now been reloaded from the Norwegian, and he's looking to pounce. There is a bomb plant, though, for G2, so at least that gives them something to be happy about, but Renegades off to a 2-0 lead.
A bomb plant comes in for G2, so that's going to help their money going forward, but obviously they spent a lot to be able to get that plant, a bit of a force, so they still may want to hold back on buying just to make sure that they're going to be able to get KennyS and AWP right away. But still going to help them out is the point. Can still even get a few upgraded pistols and not hamstring themselves. Just can't go heavy-handed with the armor or utility. So we'll just be mostly deagles, a couple of CZs, 2 flashes and 1 smoke, maybe just for some type of quick outer push and hope for the best.
Chips Kenny S. Oh, that's done more than chip him. It's blown his legs off. Gonna have to crawl his way for the rest of this round with 22 HP. Liaz is jump peeking on Ivy. Have to see if Amnek can pull off something special. Jacob, though, with a UMP is going to town. Claiming money, claiming frags. Can't get too carried away, of course, because G2 haven't fully invested yet on this half. I'll be curious to see how they pull it off when rifles are in play. This stage, Dust, I think really they're just hoping to get a bomb plant. Maybe on B site. Did accidentally just tag his mate?
Yeah, I mean, JKS is playing back, but he has an AUG. I guess he could theoretically... No, never mind. Oh, there's a smoke still for Shocks. He could put it on sidewalk, and maybe that gets them in. But now JKS is on the bomb train, so that strategy to try to get a bomb plant enter would no longer really work. Especially now that Jacob's flanking through T-Con and into inner halls. Will certainly not allow anything to really happen in this round for G2.
Amnek out first. We'll take the point of the spear that JKS has thrust into them. Renegades off to a cracking start here. Not losing a single player. Going to help their economy significantly.
Yeah, indeed. Means they're going to keep on to SMGs, though, as well. Maybe something that G2 can try to exploit as they get the AKs out. Definitely capable of playing default, setting Lucky work the inner halls. Now next play Ivy again, as usual with this new lineup. Shocks and Jack's going to be the main ones looking to be aggressive with Ominex AWP also included, but be on the lookout for fast, explosive plays. With Lucky in T-Con and not inner halls, leads me to believe they are looking to spill out fast upper. They have to wait out some of this utility first. They want to be able to get out here quickly.
Oh, that nade is brutal. Does about 100 HP in damage. Jax with a team kill, then burns alive for his sins. Although the bomb is dropped in a retrievable position, it will only see Kenny S and Shocks alive left to mount a comeback against Renegades potentially.
That's just a perfect demonstration of how risky it is to do fast outer plays when CTs have economy. You're going to get nades stacked. You're going to have those incendiaries pouring in. You really have to kind of save those for low econ CT rounds for them to be their most effective. It was worth a shot, but it hasn't panned out. And now JKS is flanking them as well. Even with that kill, they're in so much trouble. They have to worry about their backside and that there's two CTs still guarding, and there is that flank coming in.
News for Kenny is it seems JKS assumes that he was up on the Ivy. Now he realizes he was mistaken. Grenade down the staircase, gonna land just behind Kenny, not gonna affect him, but the all rounds to the chest certainly will. Renegades 4-0. We mentioned when the rifles come out, can G2 turn the tide? The answer is an emphatic no.
Yeah, wasn't much opportunity there for them to just work out a default or work out a AWP for Kenny S. They try to go for something faster pace. Again, you can kind of applaud the effort, but it's so hard to do with that utility coming in. Similar to like upper rushes on Nuke, like getting past those initial choke points when CTs are going to be spamming utility. So deadly. But G2 with this, obviously still could buy here. They do have over 4K on the bulk of their players, which is enough for AK armor and some nades. But if they want to get Kenny S and op faster, then they need to maybe just take a middle-of-the-road approach this round. Get some upgraded pistols and armor. Absolutely, pose a threat. Give yourself a chance, but do not limit yourself for a buy down the line. And so, indeed, we are going to see them pretty much buy everything that they can, though, Vince.
Yeah, they've decided to put all the chips down here in round 5. Looking to join their French brothers in the quarterfinals of Vitality. Early grenade to Jax. Gonna hamstring him. There's another one. And it's the same result. This is a similar nade to what we saw last round. G2 perching up in these pretty obvious angles is hurting them so much. Molotov down's going to stop them retreating, so they're going to push forward instead. They're going to take the fight to Renegades. Lackluster entry fragging is going to cost them dearly. Jacob's the only player that's fallen for Renegades thus far. Jack's down low. Amonek's been tagged, only has a Mac 10. And Kenny Ass is peaked. He's just basically pieced out. Kenny's gone. He's moving towards the box walls now.
Yeah, he's got the bomb on his back as well. The one man that can do the most, as he has the health and the AK to make things happen. There is still obviously JKS perched at the back of Inner with that AUG for long-range duels. With that spam that Kenny S is doing, that's obviously going to cause Renegades to even start rotating. Maybe just trying to cause a rotation to create a gap for Jax to slip in through Olaf, but he's been caught by Liaz. So that gambit is not going to pay off.
Neither of this one, Dust. It's going to be a massacre. It's going to be a slaughter. And it's Azza that puts the final nails in the coffin. He's 6-1 with 4 assists, up to 168 ADR.
G2 with that force fire. Basically in the same, or similar at least, money situation to what they were when they decided to force there. This time, a little bit different. Amanek's going to get a MAC 10, sure, but everyone's still, you know, hovering in a good price range to be able to buy next. Triple Ivy opening from G2. Jax is so screwed by that incendiary, though, you have to imagine.
There's a HE that landed by his feet as well. The dude can't catch a break. Neither can Kenny S. Azza twisting the knife. Man. Is this the time to call timeout already? It's just been so simple and straightforward. They only have 7 kills and we're going through into round 7.
Yeah, I mean, you could call it timeout for momentum's sake, but in reality, there's nothing to really adjust. They've only had one actual full buy round, which was an outer rush they got stopped on. Kenny hasn't had an AWP yet. I was actually a little bit thinking that Shox might buy a second op. They're one of the few teams that were one double op on the T side with Shox and Kenny, but they decide against it for utility's sake. They're going to go fast outer again. This Tao somehow Lucky gets on top of the train, but still taken down. Kenny at least gets one back, but JKS is mopping them up in the inner halls. It is chaos breaking out, Vince.
Raining terrorists down into B. Rain turning into a storm, and the bomb's about to get planted. Nade damage is so severe. Chunks Kenny S down to 3. Amanek's down to 59. The thing with Kenny, though, because he has the AWP, his HP doesn't necessarily matter. If he spots someone and hits them, it's not really going to become an issue. There's no more nades left for Renegades either. Round the corner with a flashbang, and Kenny's missed. With that miss, the round could and will follow. Liaz continues to impress. Renegades continue to dominate. 7-0.
JKS is just managing inner so well, Vince. It's like the mirror for him. He also typically is going to be playing inner halls at times on the T side. So he definitely kind of has an understanding of how both sides work, and he keeps getting these multi-frag rounds, even when he's left by his lonesome. That's what makes JKS so special, and why he is definitely highly valued, making those individual plays. G2 now 0-7, as you noted. So many of these rounds have been dominant. That one was kind of close. So much chaos early on, but the bulk of these rounds, Renegades has survived with 3 or more. That's, in fact, the only round that they've lost more than 2 players. So you can see their bankrolls on several of their players is still quite high. Yeah, that means utility is always going to be fully decked out. Makes faster plays harder for G2, and they like to be explosive. They like to be able to spill out early and get in your face and swarm and trade, but you really can't when you're constantly battling against incendiaries and smokes in your face. Op is going to be for Shox this time. Normally he would only use it on T side if it was a double op setup, but maybe he's got a better spawn. Indeed, he is charging towards Ivy out in front, so that is probably why he has it for now.
MI6 has a new recruit in Lucky 007. Oh, it's going to be a bit rough.
It's almost as corny as the knock-knock joke. You know that one, of course.
Yep. Yeah. Double stack on Ivy. Mixing up a little bit. With Azra and Pop Dog. This does leave main by and large clear, although Gratisfaction is peering down there with his AWP. Lucky gonna come off the 007. Gonna get himself in the thick of the frags.
You can see that bomb pivot now to inner halls on the back of Kenny S, and so they might challenge this, but JKS has been so crafty in inner, getting these multi-frags, that you just wonder if he's going to do it again. If he can, he'll still give Renegades a shot in this round, but if not, inner folds and G2 should finally find their first round.
come down to JKS. He's gone for that peek, not found anything. Molotov onto the site. Could stall the plant a little bit longer. There's no smokes left now for G2. 25 seconds to go. JKS is going to burn Kenny S to a crisp. Everybody apart from Amanek is dangerously low on HP.
How did he die to JKS's fire? JKS was dead for like ever. What?
It must have spread on the last tick.
Yeah, that was crazy. The JKS dumped that incendiary. He got shot in the face while he was upper like a long time ago. And somehow still from the grave he finds a kill. He's probably happy with that. Like, all right, got something out of it. But good job by G2 nonetheless, overwhelming him. Limiting him to basically no frags while he was actually still alive. Helped them get that bomb planted. Helps them get it to 7-1. So there's still a chance for recovery for G2. Also, shout out to Top Gun in the chat. Obviously from the Aussie scene. Does a lot of streaming these days, if I'm not mistaken.
One of the first, if not the first time that we've seen G2 get the opening pick here on Train. Yields around. Not a coincidence. They're going to be hoping that continues to be the case. Double ops in play. Renegades hoping it was just one off. JKS watching from box hall. Gonna have a Molotov in his eyes. Goes for the peek anyway, Lucky. Oh. On the back foot already. Just as I said, they need to get the opening picks. They're gonna give Rap a free frag across to JKS. He doesn't need to ask twice. He'll take that right away.
Yeah, he's such a good secondary opera on CT side in these anchor positions. Again, just has the timings down. As soon as G2 get around on the board, they're right back on the ropes. As he also will now be reinforced by Jacob. G2 are going to commit with their utility. It can maybe be effective, but Jacob's actually kind of pushed past it. He could disrupt them big time up close.
So we'll call him. Bomb plant will follow. Gratisfaction in the smoke, can hear footsteps around him. And now going back onto the side. Amanek with a spray through the smoke. Not going to connect too much. As picked off JKS just beforehand. Small gap in the smoke allows Shocks to capitalize. They've got a Molotov still in the hands of Amanek, but there's a smoke to extinguish it. Amanek flashed up, but knows exactly where the bomb's planted. And now Gratisfaction has to try and run away. But he, oh yeah, actually does get the kill. I was sure that Amanek would have had him. That means they'll be able to save an AWP at the very least. And with that save, they could even buy potentially.
Another big round from G2. You feel like a lot of that hinged on Jacob being up close in the smoke. If he could have landed a couple of kills, that round probably goes very differently. But G2 limited him to 0 from that spot. So good entry work there from G2 in a tense moment where they were down pretty early on 4v5. This time no second op for JKS, but obviously still deadly with the AUG on the inner side. Can G2 keep it going, though? That's the really big question. If they can get this round, Renegades would have to finally save, and that's where the gap can begin to wither away between these two teams on this final map. It's like enters the focus again.
Not too far off on cracking it, RG2. The 7-2 scoreline looks bleak, but as you say, the context does matter here. They need a Molotov down into Pop Dog. JKS, Gratisfaction, the 2B defenders. Gratisfaction with a slow peeking Jax. Neutralizes him. Molotov in, perfectly placed, and Gratisfaction strikes twice. And this time it's Lucky on the receiving end. Amanek gets stinked down to 2 HP, but he's still alive and still kicking. And Gratisfaction's gone the same way. Amanek knows he has to relocate. If he's anywhere near the bomb, there will be HEs and incendiaries landing by his side. So he's playing a bit of an off angle on top of the train at this stage in the smoke. HE couple flashes in the hands of G2. Meanwhile, Incendiary actually tossed to the left-hand train. The idea to try and stop players that are up close. Kenny's played that position a couple of times already, but Kenny's now perched up on the Boxhall side. He's waiting for a flank, waiting for a rotation. And it's been a long time coming, and Renegades realize the economic situation. They're going to try and save, setting up for exit frags. See if they can maybe get an AWP or an AK out of this round. As is going to be going in, looking. Kenny S getting tagged up by the bomb. But it seems like we are going to reach a stalemate.
It's 3 in a row for G2, and they now have Renegade's economy in the bin. Gives them a chance to find a 4th one easier. You got to applaud the effort of Gratisfaction that round. He had a couple of key kills with the AWP on the initial take, but equally applauded is Shox' aggressive maneuver on the upper catwalk, able to run Gratisfaction down and open up that inner bomb site. And the 3-on-3 retake, Knias with a key kill to stuff it, and now we have the speed being picked up by G2 at enter once more, their favorite spot, it seems. This time it's clean entries to be expected, given Renegades have little to work with. You have to imagine they're just going to save this AUG and roll it into the next round.
Would be the wise decision. 7 rounds in a row. Ooh, Shox does get dinked, but is able to just about survive. 7 rounds in a row going to be answered back with 4 bomb detonations. And G2 starting to build a bit of bank. It's only Lucky that's quite low. Everybody else is just fine.
Got a game on our hands now, Vince. It was looking a little bit rough in the beginning, but G2 have been able to bounce back. Now we have a close contest. Renegades back onto the full buy. They didn't really save that AUG, but at least they afford to buy everything. Gratisfaction with AWP included. At this point, no one's really a burden for their team, but no one's really carrying either. It's been pretty close distribution of fragging across the board. Who is going to take that step up, though, you wonder? Could be the difference for either team.
It does start to feel like this map is going back on the balance between the two. A map you expect the CTs to do better, and Asa just dry peaks at the top of Pop Dog. That is a big pick for G2. Just what they've been looking for.
It's one of Jax's, standard starting positions is playing above ladder. That's typically how the defaults work for G2, as typically you're going to see Amanek, Ivy, and Lucky work in the box hall. So Azza would have known that, maybe just hoping to win the 1v1. Trying to catch his opponent off guard, but it didn't pan out. Jax takes minimal damage to grab that frag as well, so early advantage for G2. Also, utility's low, so that means G2 can roll out these executes without being stuffed by smokes and incendiaries as much. Looks like they are again going to favor inner.
JKS has the mountainous task ahead of him, playing the off angle, is going to get the first. More players firing in. JKS narrowly missing out on a 3K. Does wound Shock. Takes Jax and Lucky off the table. There is a rotation, though. It's going to be Amanek. Oh, this is going to be a bloodbath. He's going to get a massacre. There's the first. The downside for him is one player actually pushed into him, so he couldn't line them all up. And now Gratisfaction moving to the site on top of the B train, actually. Keep to try and catch the players off guard. He's been spotted at upper. There comes the HE. There's going to be a flashbang behind it. Gratisfaction lands. He doesn't have a kit, though. He has to take down Amanek and can't get the quick scope in. Can't get the flick. Amanek deals with him. G2 continue their winning ways.
It's just that small little adjustment from G2. Yes, they've been battering inner time and time again, but the difference is Amanek's lurk from Ivy through the back hall. That's something that Renegades have not had to deal with yet. And it comes in at just a critical time for 3 kills. Basically the closer of that round, and that's 5 in a row for G2. Money not there for Renegades, so 6th round is looking just on the horizon for the French side. And this is becoming quite the slugfest, but it's not a back and forth one. Each team has just kind of picked their portion of the half to dominate as we go into the final rounds.
Teams must be feeling the fatigue now. They played earlier today in a best of 3, and here they are again. Third map, business end of the best of 3. Business end of their tournament as far as they're concerned. Flashbang, all that Renegades possess in terms of nades. They do have upgraded pistols. They are playing up close where these pistols are at their most deadly. Maybe mitigated though, because 2 players are pushing through Ivy and the bomb is in hot pursuit in the hands of Jax. If they go Ivy, they will have the longer range advantage over their CT counterparts. They're faking as if this could be a B, tossing Molotovs in, flashing over on the B side. This is going to draw out Liaz through connector, although JKS has picked himself up a kill. Here comes Gratisfaction, could get the better of Kenny S, lands the headshot. This is where it's going to get a little bit worrisome now for G2, even though they have played this one pretty okay in terms of how they've maneuvered around the map. With some weapons trading hands like an AK-47 and AWP, and being a player behind. There's more angles for them to watch out for. Amanek is isolated in heaven. He is almost the last line of defense. Shox has the right idea. They are going to be peeking out of Pop Dog. There's the first, flashing over. 2 more come through, and 2 more right into their demise, and Amanek from above will strike. He looked a little bit rocky, but G2 steady it.
Again, it's just JKS. He's been so good at finding more than he should at inner time and time again. Didn't get a second kill there, but nearly did, and certainly softened him up for Gratisfaction to make the play. Good on G2, though, just angling out. And it is indeed that double AWP I told you might be coming. Shox will have the second one alongside Kenny S, but it's going to be greeted by Gratisfaction and JKS on the opposing side. Shox took his AWP towards Ivy. Kenny S was more towards T-Connector. This might catch Renegades off guard. They might not be expecting 2 of these to be on the field. And there's a lot of long-range duels to be taken on Train. And Shox might find one here and now. And there it is.
Turnaround by G2. Somewhat reminiscent of Dust 2. Topsy-turvy match. Renegades must be starting to sweat here. It was looking like a glorious start to the third map. 7 rounds in a row. Now could potentially be 7 apiece. Yeah. Liaz going to try and use his AUG to perforate any oncoming terrorists through Ivy. Looks like they're about to push the button now, Dust. Oh, Kenny S has missed his chance. These are shots he has to land for G2. Damage inflicted to Lucky. He's finished off. Liaz keeps the spray going. Bomb. It's going to be planted on the floor, not the bomb site. Jacob, in the meanwhile, makes short work of Jax. And Shox now has to pull off a 1v3. That's the easier of the shots he's going to need to land. But now his position is compromised. It's no to the spray from Azza. It's pristine. Renegades will finally get another round.
It took a long time to get here. Obviously, the economy system now in the game makes it hard. If you have a lot of close rounds towards the end of your winning streak and then you finally lose, you're on that 1-round loss bonus. Meanwhile, your opponent, if they get reset, they still have some bank built up. So it becomes harder, especially as CTs, to be able to keep buying once you do lose that first round or so. But now they finally got their money back together and won a very key round and have plenty to go in this final round. So will this half be as close as it gets, or will the Renegades extend the lead just a bit? That's the question that'll be answered here shortly.
Well, the early nade damage has been certainly in favor of the boys on Renegade. Kenny S down to 40. Has missed a couple of key shots. You wonder how things would have been different if he had have connected from main last round. Jacob through the smoke. Perfect timing. Rewarded with 1 kill. Spins around and smacks Jax through the smoke. Gonna leave a mark. Shox is still in amongst the frags though, and his teammate killed just next to him. Jacob should be a goner. Only had 8 health remaining. And JKS with the flank. Puts Renegades 9-6 in the lead going through to the second half.
At least we were able to see the French side come up with something in the middle of that half to keep themselves in close contest, but Renegades, the Alpha and the Omega, that half opening and closing. They're up 9-6. We have one more half to go here in the lower bracket finals to determine who will see those playoffs and who will be seeing the airport terminal sooner rather than later. This is Dustin Vince. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Oh, for the final time, the B stream at the Corsair DreamHack Masters Dallas. We are live between Renegades and G2. Playoffs beckon. After this match, we will be hitting them. I say we, Dustin I won't be, but the tournament will go on.
We'll be watching it from home.
Indeed. Smoke into connector. Shocks. Gonna try and stall the push. There's only so much one man.
Uh-oh. I think Vince has faded off into the oblivion, so I'll take over for a moment here as we just see G2 piling it on, so there wasn't much left to say as Vince took a weird exit. Vince, are you back? And no, I guess not. I'm not sure what's going on.
Hello?
Are you back?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up?
I went somewhere?
Your mic just faded out of Discord, man.
Reasonable.
Like, no one heard. Like, I just kind of picked it up there in the middle of the end of the last round.
Just Discord things, of course. Yeah. Just Discord things.
Your voice just faded into the Matrix, man. It was hilarious sounding, to be honest. You were just like, and they're gone.
It'd be really awkward now if that actually didn't happen for the producer.
Oh, yeah, that would be awkward, wouldn't it?
You just sound crazy.
I'm just talking over you the whole time for 10 seconds. Please don't be the case. Chat, please. Don't get mad at that is what happened. Vince just disappeared on my headphones.
I feel like I'm losing my sanity. It's been so many hours, but let's crack on. Let's get on with the game at hand, in which we'll see Amanek with the AUG. G2, of course, winning that second pistol round, putting even more pressure on Renegades.
I was just listening. Yeah, you did fade into the Matrix there. That is what happened.
That's so weird. I've never heard of that before on Discord.
It's just Discord things, don't worry. Either way, Renegades on just the 3 Deagles and 1 P250. And no armor. And Amanek has an AUG, and he is just greeting them. Hello. He's the welcome wagon of Ivy.
Rest in pieces, Renegades. Not like we were expecting much of that round, but here we go. It's going to be the full bite.
Again, remember when they met each other in the upper bracket, it was 10-round CT sides for each team that caused the overtime. They've already seen the T side do one better for G2 as they got 6 instead of 5 in the first half. Can Renegades match them or even do better and look to close in regulation from their T side? Looking to go fast towards outer, it looks like, here with all these AKs, flashes and smokes pouring in.
Full AUGs meet full AKs, and so far the AUGs are working out. Jacob, last player standing, has got one and a second, down to 16 HP. One bullet and he's a dead man. A valiant attempt so far. But everywhere he turns, a G2 player is waiting, hunting him down. There's going to be Jax that gets a final bullet into him. G2 are going to tie us back up. It's 9-9.
And a good chance to take the lead as Renegades buy there did not pan out. So they will need to take a save here to be able to get gratification at AWP. Get those full nade sets and AKs. Maybe even a SIG or two. They do buy a little bit, but enough to make sure they still could get a full buy next round. Of course, gratification, the one taking the sacrifice on this to really ensure a knot's coming out. So G2 should be hitting double digits first on this race to 16. Pretty default stuff here from Renegades. Liaz, Ivy, JKS, inner halls. What you'd expect, Jacob and Azza will float between what site they want to emphasize, and this time it's inner, though the bomb is Ivy, so we could be seeing a bit of a fake going on here, Vince.
It does seem like it. I'm going to try and draw away as much of G2 as possible and then potentially push on Ivy. Lucky's heard footsteps. That's going to draw out Kenny S. He's moving into connector. So is Jax. Jax thinks twice of it. There's a smoke. They need to push somebody down. In order to completely bait this out, you've got to send men to their death. It sounds maybe counterproductive, but when you've only got pistols and a couple of armors, you've got to make them bite down on this. Smoke's going to do nothing.
Far. There's 4 towards inner right now, and the further utility that JKS is going to throw is probably going to hold at least a few of them in place. So yeah, it is just Jax right now towards outer. This is a big over-rotation for G2, thinking it's going to be obviously just a big rush in one location because they know it's an eco, but they would be wrong on where it's coming from.
A huge surprise to me that G2 bit down on that hard, but it does seem like, although bomb plant will be coming in, a 4-on-4 with 2 players exceptionally low and only 2 flashbangs, it's unlikely that Renegades can hold on to this plant. It's going to take something special. Amanek going to get picked off. No! 3 players face him and 3 players get sprayed down into oblivion. Amanek's on for the ace. Azza trying his best to stop the bomb from being defused, but Lucky will take him out. And G2 going to take the lead for the first time in this game.
Gotta respect the effort from Renegades, the craftiness of the fake, the, peeking together to make it difficult, but this turns to a game of whack-a-mole for Amanek and the AUG on Ivy, now at 20 kills. Far and above the bulk of his team, other than Shox. He's really delivering in key moments for G2 to try to get them to that finish line, get them back on track, get them a big result. Matched up like their EPL group where they did oh so well against some big-name teams to make those finals for next month. They want to add to that.
Rise Faction just flies across the screen. Amanek didn't know what hit him.
Yeah, it's like when the dream scenario works. People do that jump boost all the time, but a lot of the time there's no one there. But that's one of those cases where there indeed was a player waiting that got absolutely destroyed. Luckily, at least Kenny S was also able to take out Liaz in the process, so kind of an even exchange, all said and done, though Gratis Faction's also really low on health, so a slight edge for G2 in that category. Shox playing passively in the back halls from CT steps. Everyone else is focused outer. They're basically giving inner. It's a gamble, but it looks like it should pay off given the pathways we're seeing Renegades take in the late round.
G2 have rescinded Ivy control. Lucky gonna interject, as will Kenny S. Thwarting the aggression, bomb goes down. Kenny S now starting to feel it a little bit more with the AWP. JKS is still alive, still kicking with 28 seconds. He's about to get flanked though from Jax. Why Kenny S is pulling back, he doesn't have to overextend. Jax may do all the work for him. Not required. Kenny S flicks to the head. JKS sent out for round 21 now.
Such a good forward outer setup that G2 had there up close on ladder and T-Con. It made Kenny S feel comfortable to sit there and still be able to peek towards Ivy. He had been kind of quiet this game, if we're honest. He was 8-14 before that play, but now working back towards at least neutral status on the KD ratio. And you feel like if he can keep teeing off on this CT side with the AWP, that could be what G2 needs to close out this game if Amanek as well keeps up form. Now Renegades, though, limited utility on this round. They can't really go for fakes or elaborate map control into something else. They need to pick one play and go for it. It looks like the Hail Mary will be inner based on how they're positioned, but Lucky's up close and Shox is here for assistance. So they will have a good amount of hurdles to jump through to get into this bomb site.
There's plenty of difficulty ahead of them if they want to embark on this big adventure. Rocky ground, shaky ground, and they're going to have to go through a smoke. I want to push now. Flashbang Prime going to be tossed out by JKS. Here comes the push. It has been initiated. Lucky, AUG in hand, dispatches a bomb, but Liaz going to take the fight to the CTs. Molotov at the back of the site, under Kenny's feet. He has to move. Amanek now with the AUG. Gonna have to repel multiple terrorists. He's already gone one. Got it clean. Has a flash and a kit. But Liaz may have him dead to rights with the AK or not. Amanek's still alive, only to see Gratis Faction peek up from the site and put the assault rifle to use. Renegades back to a 1-round deficit now.
Such a good trade. Shocks and company limited just the 1 frag apiece on what could have been a very dangerous initial defense up close. Also, tip your hat again to Lee as being able to push the sidewalk. He got a pretty lucky headshot frag through the smoke on the spam, but hey, that's just the awareness to know that's where they're going to be rotating around it, to know that there is a chance you could find something. He did find that extra headshot, which really helped secure the site. It came down to a 1v1 in the end, sure, but Liaz did so much work. It really set Gratisfaction up to be able to finish that off with not too much trouble. Obviously, what's happened here, though, is because they lost so many players, they have to rebuy so much, and you can see the consequences. 2 players on Galil's. No AWP. G2 are aware of that. They smell blood in the water. They will buy in as much as they can as well. Both teams' economies are oh so fragile. Either G2 steams out in front, or Renegades might surpass the Frenchman back up here and now.
Who will crack first? It's looking like it may be the Renegades. Kenny S shatters. Jacob trying to push into Ivy. Jax is going to hold the line from Pop Dog teammate. Going to see no further confrontation unless JKS decides to push out. But Jax hasn't moved an inch. It's a really good position. There's a smoke. Going to go for the peek. A smoke also landed onto Jax, so he felt compelled to push it, because he realized he put more pressure on Kenny S and Shox. Shox is now gone down without much of a fight. Kenny S still alive, tries the flick, misses. Gratisfaction with the AK. Up close, pulling the trigger, giving us a 2-on-2. Still a minute to play with. Both the CTs locked down in Pop Dog, but no one's looking. They could get out, but they're playing this passively. Gonna switch weapons.
There's no utility to cover this bomb plant, Vince. They're in so much trouble for Renegades unless JKS just hits the shots and is peeking the right angle at the right time, unless they bypass it all. Going Z. Was it spotted, though? I don't know that it was. And, well, no, actually it has been. You see them going up the ladder. They know what's up.
They don't want to make noise on the ladder. They don't want to alert the terrorist to any pressure in case one was pushing Pop Dog. They're coming down. The XM at this range is going to be garbage, but if they can get close, it will really shine bright. Amanek, Borg, spots Gratisfaction. Playoffs beckon, and G2 are moving one step closer. Behold the phones. JKS had 10 seconds. He knows he can't get this bomb planted. He's going for the kill. He's going for the jugular, and it's not going to work out for him. He runs into the brick wall of Amanek, and G2 going to take a 2-round lead.
That was a back and forth round. It started out dominant from G2, but then Renegades started taking punches and they were landing the mark. They got it into a dangerous 2-on-2, but Amanek continues to be the rock of G2 on this map, the newcomer to the team. It's taken a bit, but these last few tournaments, he's really settled in and begun to have massive impact alongside stars like Kenny S and Shox. He's really added to their firepower. He's also come in to help the in-game leading, to help manage things, and you can certainly see that G2's strategy has improved since he's come on board. And they're winning some key rounds here towards the home stretch of map 3. Renegade's economy is really in rough shape. They'll buy up a bit of something here, but it's very little. Gonna have to be very resourceful to pull off a round with this little equipment.
Plays situated on A, 2 of which are connectors. They can quickly wrap around to B if the call comes in from Lucky. More the lack of grenades, though, that's an issue. And again, it's on both sides. Because it went down to the wire, you still haven't fully recovered. Flash out, Azza taking the initiative, being the spear. They want to drive into G2. Jax with an MP9. Not allowed to come to fruition. 3 kills from his hand. The SMG obliterating Renegades, and he's going to be able to pick up the 4K. G2 move one step closer. Only 3 more required.
Renegades is hoping that this tournament would be them getting back on track after having such a great major, such a great ladder event. Directly after that, they faced the stand-in issues with Smooya at EPL. They got Gratisfaction back. This is their chance to get back into playoff contention, another deep run, keeping that world ranking high. But G2, they're hungry as well. And now they're out in front. A big challenge does not go the way of G2 there. That could be the edge that Renegades need to fight back on this T side. Only got the one round this entire half fence, but this is looking good.
Been a while since they've been 2 players in the lead, hasn't it? So you'd hope they clutch onto this with both hands. Make it work somehow. In the back of their minds, though, they know they also have to take this one fairly cleanly because their funds still aren't right. They still aren't good. Jack smokes himself in Pop Dog, hoping that Jacob will push him. Smart play, though, from Renegades. They're not giving anything away. They know that they have a huge advantage.
Yeah.
Just choke G2 out.
This is where, now that their utility is starting to get spent, you can put your smoke wall outer towards the bomb site. Your flashes just pour into outer. You know you have a 5-on-3. You know at least one of these guys has to still be at the end of their bomb site. You can use this to isolate the angles you must worry about and just trade frag your way out. Luckily for them, there's really no one outer other than Jackson Ladder, who's been smoked off, and he's been hurt as well, and he's been forced out of position. So this bomb will come coasting in. You have to imagine, given the money G2 has to work with, they're saving here. And so it's going to be 11 rounds for the Renegades. Finally, they connect their second terrorist round after really a sea of G2 and an ocean against the island that was that run round of Renegades. Now there's finally something else there.
An important moment on the side of Renegades. Going to keep themselves alive. And as you say, I mean, with G2's economy so bad, at least this gives them something to play with. I'll be curious if they do buy behind this, or if they play for the later rounds. Because if they don't, you're assuming they concede it, and it'll go down to like a 13-12, maybe even 13-13 scoreline. So let's see. They're not going to have a huge amount to use. I mean, Amanek nearly has 4K. Shots could drop alongside Lucky. Doesn't look like a buy's coming up yet.
Yeah, not quite. I mean, Amanek certainly should be grabbing something, you'd imagine. But no,
yeah,
just...
like the Deagle. Maybe saving because Kenny has really bad economy to drop Kenny and Orp. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, it does seem likely. Still, though, you'd imagine that at least a P250 or something comes out. But yeah, they're just really going to rely on these 3 Augs, and they're stacking Ivy, so definitely trying to gamble on something. But one's already been found out. Liaz is worried that there's more, and he would be correct. And there it is. Keeping the angle, because more are coming. He is aware that that's a possibility.
Yeah, if they're into some kind of an eco play, then it's not unheard of to have 2 or 3 players push up together and try and take fights. Amanek is going to get the Org. Is he going to go for the peak as well? Yes, he is, but Liaz, AK-47 in hand. I also want to highlight that Jax actually had a sidearm. He had a Desert Eagle coming into this. That's a bit of a brain fart from G2. Probably won't make a huge amount of difference, but a Deagle in Amanek's hands, who knows?
Yeah, that's definitely an oversight that could have allowed them to be a bit more efficient this round with their limited resources, but nonetheless, Liaz, just the man for the job at Ivy there, catches a couple of big kills. Obviously, Gratisfaction also a part of it. So it now will be 12 on the board for the Renegades. Unless Lucky and Shocks with these 2 Augs pull off an absolute miracle 2-on-5. Gratisfaction is low on health, so that could help, but very unlikely still to be successful.
Damage inflicted. Lucky wants Shocks to do something special. Close range. Liaz going to get bested, but it is a lot of damage across the Shocks as well. Lucky, they're both incredibly low. 2 HP left on Gratisfaction as Azza becomes extinct in round 25. Molotov down onto Pop Dog. Has Gratisfaction been spotted? I believe he has by Lucky. They do have a kit as well. Lucky's going to try and tickle that, get Gratisfaction out into the open, but he's just going to Molotov it instead. Is there going to be enough time after this Molotov has came and gone? There should be. They're going to patiently wait for this, go for the defuse, and G2 are going to pull up 14-11. Lucky and Shots get it done against all the odds.
2 versus 5. We were talking about that round as if it was over, and it really should have been. Renegades did all the hard work. They got the kills. They thwarted the Ivy push. They had all the numbers. There's no way they should be losing that round. And think of how critical it is to lose right now. Now G2 are only 1 round away from series point in the playoffs, and you're just a couple of rounds away from being horribly disappointed. Obviously, tip your hat to Lucky and Shox. They pulled off a fantastic play. They played it as perfectly as they could in a 2 versus 5. Lucky obviously big in those initial kills from the back halls as Renegades tried to pour out the ladder room, and now it's a tough one. Azadoh gets an entry here at Outer, starting things off on the right foot as Renegades keeping their composure.
Last round a bitter pill to swallow, but what will make it go down that much sweeter is if Renegades can bounce right back into this, win a round for themselves, knock G2 into oblivion. They would still be trailing. Shox perked up, waiting for a player to push him. They are setting up for a save again. You can see from both Lucky and Kenny S, they want no further part of this round. Renegades will strike gold.
Again, good mental fortitude here from Renegades to kind of wash away that massive opportunity and find a new one instead. They will get the 12 later than expected, but they find themselves there nonetheless, and it's just a kind of wild time because the economies are so poor. Is Shox going to come in here for an opportunity? Yeah, Gratisfaction says, nah, none of that. And so here we stand, Vince. 14-12. Money tight on both sides. This round's going to mean so much, especially for G2 because of how low their funds truly are.
Been an intense atmosphere around this game. JKS not going to allow Shox to retreat. Shoots him in the back. No prisoners taken. No mercy administered. Satisfaction joining alongside Liaz. JKS is also there with Jacob. In fact, all the terrorists making a move into box halls. Maybe going to try and hit this site. Well, I feel like it's vulnerable. Lucky's also taking a gamble. Again, with their economy, they may just stick together on A, and if it ends up being a B hit, just save.
Yeah, that's very much possible. Unless they rotate the AWP of Kenny S back over at some point and they get a kill. You figure if they hang here long enough and they don't spot any presence or any nades flying over, they would shuffle back, but it may be too late. As Renegades are lining up the utility, the deep smoke's going to allow them to get into the site and press very close onto Z, and that's not going to give G2 any space to peek into it. And as you noted, with the money the way that it is, you imagine they are just going to go ahead and concede. So Renegades, they will get the round off of the one entry of JKS just based on G2's rotation to try to gamble towards the outside. Big entry there from JKS. Feels very much at home in those inner halls. Plays both sides of it on this map, and he comes up big for his team here. The impact of losing that 5 versus 2 is starting to wither away now. Renegades are recovering just fine from it.
Exactly, and it makes you also think if G2 don't pick up that fight, that 2v5, it could be Renegades that are in the lead right now. It could be them that are cruising to a playoff spot. This is around the time, Dust, where you're expecting to see a timeout called. Just to go through any last-minute tactics, any adaptive plays you want to make, just to ease players' minds, get the momentum away from Renegades. They have timeouts still remaining, G2. Doesn't look like they're going to go for it, though.
No. Just to give you an update on the other game, the upper bracket finals are going on for this group. It's Ints Furia. Ints won the first map. Furia looks like they're about to take the second and force a map 3 over there on the mainstream.
Furia turning a lot of heads.
Yeah. They were my dark horse pick for the tournament early on, as we were discussing it yesterday, I think. And they've been cashing in on it for me. It's been great to watch their rise over the past year, but back to this game. This is a tense round on our hands again, just due to the economy for G2. They're ahead, but that could very well change if Renegades win this key round. It looks like they want to pick up the pace and do something faster towards Outer. Kenny S, Amanek, Jax, they're a triangle of doom up close, though.
Smokes blot out the sun for G2, but Amanek is going to pierce them all. He is relatively untouched by any of them, and will put G2 in a 2-player advantage very early on. Gratisfaction going to use the smoke.
That's the long con, though, Vince. He's pushed through Ivy, looking to flank T-Con, so even if a couple of kills start to crack out, will they really expect this flank from Amanek?
Surreptitiously going to try and get behind Renegades. The rest of G2 just need to survive. Give him a chance to get this flank to become a success. Amanek on the prowl, hunting down his prey. He's found it. He drops the bomb out, doesn't need to re-peek on 15 HP. Let the time do the rest of the work for him. Let JKS get desperate. Let him peek one of his teammates. JKS has no hope of getting anything done. He's going to press forward valiantly, but Lucky will shut him down, and G2 have 2 playoff points.
Just that up forward positioning from G2. They also had Renegades smoke Ivy for them, basically, so they could even more focus on T-Con and Ladder, as they guessed right that it was unlikely that Renegades would push their own smoke at Ivy. Amanek again comes in big, near 30 kills for him on this map. He's at 28. ADR stats are certainly good for him as well at 94. That's pretty good for how many rounds have been played to maintain that sort of average, so near 100. And like you noted, just 2 more rounds to go of regulation. Renegades could force extra rounds, but G2 could be finding themselves in the playoffs here very shortly.
News for Renegades is at least they're not coming into this last round flat out broke. They can have a real go of this. Jacob. Molotov to the back end of box halls. JKS was peeking that very angle when they were on the CT side. So clearly cognizant of its effectiveness.
Kenny's not far off with those op bullets, but it's not quite going to catch the box halls players. Some presence here from Liaz over towards Ivy to try to hold attention, but again, it's that forward 3 setup from G2 towards outer. No one really paying attention to Ivy other than Amanek from the middle train. Keeping eyes on it, but as we see, Renegades will be gathering up towards inner. That bomb will be picked up. Lucky and Shox playing up close, and Shox is playing a position that has not been played yet this entire game, Vince. No one's played these spools yet. This could be the checkmate move if Renegades do not anticipate this.
Bot that often gets checked, but he is playing in solitude on B. Lucky is watching B site, but more from connector. So when the smokes come in, as you anticipate they will, Shock will be separated from the rest of his team. Do they check the spools? 30 seconds distinguishes between potentially G2 and the playoffs. Lucky trying to live up to his name through the smoke. They don't check the spools in time, and Shox is going to get 2. Jacked from the backside of connector. Delivers onto JKS. Azza through the smoke. The hero play is real. He's going to be getting 2. Are there any more to his name? He's going to have to go 2 better to survive. For Renegades to live in this tournament, Azza has to go monumentally massive, and it won't be happening. G2 Esports gonna get it done 16-13 and book their place in the playoffs.
Yeah, I know G2 left home soil and DreamHack Tour. It's very disappointing they did not find the finals there, especially considering how well they played their EPL group against Na'Vi and Fnatic to find themselves a final spot there. But now they've done it. They've booked themselves a quarterfinal spot here at DreamHack Masters Dallas by CORSAIR. What an accomplishment for them just to make it there. Hopefully we'll see even more. What a great game. I'm glad it came down to the wire there on train. It was definitely a fun way to send off the secondary stream here.
It really was. And that means that our time on the B stream has come to a close, Dust. It's been
Indeed.
3 long days. I think we ended up clocking in at 28 hours over 3 days of commentating. So,
yep. Actually,
hopefully
today
you
was
guys had
10
fun.
hours. The other 2 days, I think, were
Yep.
9. So, yeah, something like that. Definitely a lot of casting, but We're definitely happy about events. It was good to be able to work together again so soon after DreamHack Open Tours here. A couple events together. Obviously, for those of you out there, Vince and I are trying to do a lot more. We've been able to get a couple events together this month. We hope this is just the beginning for us. And we definitely appreciate all of you for having tuned into today's broadcast. We hope you enjoyed the broadcast. If you want to give Vince and I a follow, you can exclamation point casters in chats, and that will give you links to our Twitters. Also, maybe stuff will flash up on the screen with our faces and stuff on it, so you can see that as well. Yeah, man. Obviously, as Vince said, we are done for the tournament as the group stage has come to a close. That's what we were signed on for, was to help cover the group stages. The playoffs will obviously pick up tomorrow with the rest of the talent. They're situated in Dallas. And yeah, just want to say I appreciate you all so much tuning in, and congrats to G2 for making the playoffs. And Vince, I'll just let you have the final word.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Don't forget, we have the A stream also going on. It's Fira versus Ents. You don't want to miss that one. And we will catch you next time. Peace.